So this will be our last video from our remote coverage of CES this year. And if you weren't clued up on it, CES stands for Consumer Electronics Show. And while that typically means that we get awesome gadgets, cool releases, and tons of usable products, it also means that some companies produce things that make us go, what the nutcracker? Because you see, consumers, you and I, are fickle beasts. We like things that make no sense. We enjoy flashing lights, bright colors, and gimmicks, at least on paper. And regardless of how stupid our fanciful guilty pleasures are, some companies are just insane enough to try to provide these things for us, so enjoy our coverage on the products that we understand, but we really wish weren't the manifestation of our inner idiot. First up, Vertigear's PL4500 RGB Gaming Chair. Vertigear has been producing high-quality gaming chairs for quite a while now, and each one has been more gamery than the next. But 2018 will probably go down as the year the company took things to a whole new level. Introducing the PL4500 RGB. Yes, RG friggin' B. RGB lighting is without a doubt the most innovative, powerful, and pretty technology to ever grace the wonderful world of gaming. Everything that has been adorned with RGB lighting, including mice, keyboards, cases, coolers, graphics cards, and other components have, without exception, seen massive performance boosts. Now, thanks to the PL4500, gaming chairs can now too finally benefit from similar gains. I wouldn't be surprised if people who buy these things just become pro gamers overnight, or their butts magically fit in the seat with no need to break it in. The PL4500 is a comfy gaming chair that acts like, well, a gaming chair. It has an ergonomic enough design and an unobtrusive aesthetic look. What sets it apart, as you may have guessed, is its use of wireless, full-spectrum RGB lighting with audio sync capabilities that can be controlled via your PC or an app on your phone. Along with the lighting zones close to the top of the chair, the bottom of the PL4500 also features lighting and projects a Vertigear logo onto the surface it's used on. Powering all of this is a rechargeable, removable battery that can supposedly hold a charge for many hours, around 24. Now, in all seriousness though, and even though I really do love RGB lighting, I mean, have you seen my PC? This might be a little much, even for me. The very few times I've not liked the implementation of RGB lighting is when I won't really be looking at it. RGB that isn't constantly in your field of view feels like a bit of a waste if you won't be taking it to every LAN party happening in your area. That being said, the lighting on this does actually look pretty dope, and as long as Vertigear doesn't charge a massive price premium for it, I would definitely consider buying one, even if it's just to be the coolest person in the office, although I already am that way, so Tank, take that. No chair is gonna make me the coolest person in the office, because I already am, okay? Tank, Reece, you guys lose. I'm the coolest person in the office, okay? Of course, since the chair is still in the prototype phase, pricing isn't available yet. The PL4500 will apparently be out later this year. Next up is the Razer Mamba Hyperflux. There are many reasons why Razer's Mamba series mice are super popular among gamers. They perform phenomenally well, are packed with useful features, look sleek and stylish while still standing out, and let's take a moment to appreciate the full RGB lighting that they have. Further boosting their popularity is that beyond other minor variations, they come in wired and wireless flavors. That considered, what's next for the Mamba brand? Surely there's not much room left for innovation, or is there? Well, that depends on whether you think a wireless Mamba that not only doesn't need to be charged, but doesn't even have a battery is innovative. That's right, Razer recently unveiled the Mamba Hyperflux, an extremely lightweight wireless mouse that can run indefinitely. It's able to do this thanks to Razer's new Firefly Hyperflux mouse mat, which wirelessly powers the mouse. The removal of the battery means that the Mamba Hyperflux only weighs in at 96 grams, which is just shy of 30 grams lighter than the also wireless Mamba Chroma. Thankfully, the impressive weight reduction doesn't mean the mouse is any less capable. It comes with the same button layout as the Mamba Chroma and is equipped with the same 16,000 dpi 5G optical sensor as other mice in the range. That is a freaking jet. It also features what Razer calls adaptive frequency technology, which apparently switches wireless channels if any interference is detected. On the aesthetic side, the Mamba Hyperflux actually differs slightly from the other Mambas. The first thing you'll notice is that the scale-like rubber grips on the side of the mouse has actually been replaced with what I could only describe as wrinkles. Other than that, the biggest change is the removal of the RGB lighting strips along its side. It reduces the cool factor and probably the performance of the mouse significantly, and I'm not a fan, but that doesn't mean that there's no RGB lighting to be had on the Hyperflux. Flux, as the scroll wheel, Razer logo on the rear, and the little indicator thing at the bottom rear of the mouse all light up as you would expect from Razer. As mentioned earlier, since the mouse is powered by the Firefly HyperFlex mat, it can't be used wirelessly without it. It can be used wired though, which is why you can't buy these two products separately. The mat features tons of RGB lighting and lets you switch between a hard or cloth surface on the fly. The mat and mouse combo will set you back by $249, which is shockingly expensive even for Razer. While the mouse and the HyperFlex tech is undoubtedly pretty cool, I just don't get it. Don't get me wrong, a wireless mouse that doesn't need recharging and is super light is pretty amazing. I just think that it's an answer to a problem that didn't really exist. I'm not too thrilled about having to use the mouse exclusively on the HyperFlex pad unless I'm going to be wired. I prefer large mouse mats, and being forced to stay within the lines of the standard side Firefly HyperFlex for fear of my mouse dying on me isn't something that sounds all that appealing. Almost as unappealing as that idea is that price. And then last on our list, the ASUS ROG Bezel-Free kit. Multi-monitor setups are awesome. They take productivity in gaming, if you have the hardware to power it, to the next level, and generally look fantastically futuristic. But it's not without its flaws that are actually done away with if you go with ultra-wide gaming. Anyways, especially when it comes to gaming, multi-monitor setups can have their flaws, and one of the biggest of these, at least for gaming, is that the bezels on the monitor can really interfere with your gaming immersion. The dead space between the monitors can be a real eyesore regardless of what you're doing. But what can we really do about it? Well, the ideal solution would be to invest in an ultra-wide monitor or get 3 bezel-less displays, but those can be extremely expensive. Luckily, ASUS has created something you never knew you needed and probably still don't. ASUS ROG's new bezel-free kit includes a rectangular lens strip that you place between your monitors that will, with the help of light refraction, hide those cheeky bezels. It gives off the illusion that you're rocking one giant display instead of 3 by sort of stretching the picture to cover the dead space. In theory, this sounds pretty great. I mean, who wouldn't want one seamless display? Unfortunately, the kit comes with a few very important caveats. The first and most important of these is that your 3 monitor setup has to be positioned at 130-degree angles for it all to work. While this is perfectly fine for gaming as it's the optimal way to fill your field of view with more game, not everyone prefers their setups like this, especially those seeking optimal productivity. The other major issue here is that the bezel-free strips might actually be more distracting than staring at the actual bezels. There's a pretty clear dimming of the image happening where the bezel-less kit is placed, which makes sense because there's no light produced to back it up. It's a really hard thing to ignore, and much like the bezels of the screen, can take you out of a particularly engrossing game pretty quickly if you're not used to it. Then again, I'm sure you could get used to it eventually, but I just wouldn't bother. The kit is apparently coming sometime during the first half of this year, and pricing has yet to be confirmed. There were a ton of other products and announcements at this year's event that made us scratch our heads, but these 3 were the only ones to make us do that, but then also secretly made us want to buy them, which is actually an impressive achievement. But that's going to be officially the end of our CES coverage for this year. We started out in a gorgeous nature reserve looking over the city of Pretoria, saw some wildlife, didn't get killed by rogue zebras or wildebeest, and honestly, I think this is the best CES coverage you've watched. Just admit it. Freaking zebras, everybody. Best CES coverage ever. And even though we couldn't attend the event in person or persons, we had a blast covering the news that came out of it. So be sure to smash that like button if you enjoyed it too. Subscribe to stay up to date on all of our tech-related content. I am Brett with the UFD Tech channel. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video. Cheers.